Okay, so what are the objectives here? At the end of this module, you'll be able to understand Python, an object-oriented programming language. I mean, Python is an object-oriented programming language. If you guys did not already know it, so at the end of this module, you'll be able to understand, how is Python an object-oriented programming language. List the users of Python and data analytics. I mean, who are the users of Python and data analytics as well? We'll be able to understand that. Define identifiers and indentation. See, we'll also understand the identifiers and indentation in the sense that in most of the programming language that you guys come from, be it C, C++, Java, or for that matter Oracle PL/SQL as well, right? I mean, you have you write programs in certain ways. If you want to mention a bulk of code, or let's say for loop, right? Inside for loop you would have let's say open braces and closed braces. Inside that you write the code, right? But in case of Python, there are no such things, like braces. You open your braces, close your braces. For all those things, for writing a code in a block, let's say for loop, it's all spaces and indentation. Okay, those are very important. You'll be able to understand, and when I saw this long time back, while I was learning Python once upon a time, I was so surprised because I had come from C, C++ background, and I was more of a database developer. I had written a lot of shell scripting as well before I came into Python, and I was pretty surprised to see as to how Python works. I mean, although you might not be surprised, but it's interesting. Okay. List operations on numbers and operations on strings. Again, you'll be surprised here as well. Every string is like a combination of characters, and every word in a sentence is indexed. So we will see that as well. And then finally we'll learn a Python script and see. So these are the objectives. At the end of this module, you'll be able to learn all this, learn and understand all this. So let's move ahead. What is Python? So guys, please don't get bored, as you might be like, this is a lot of theory for the first class. At least, I mean, understanding wise, we would need theories before we go into practical. So please bear with me. What is Python? Python is a very high level dynamic object oriented programming language, right? It's very dynamic, and you'll see as to why it is. And of course, it's an object-oriented programming language. You can write your classes, you can write your packages, etc. It is. We'll be exploring that part of it as well. Python is easy to program and read, right? Let me do one thing for you. It's PyCharm. Let me open my PyCharm here as well. I want to show you while I execute my code. I want to show something. I just want to give you an idea as to how this looks like. Okay, since close. I mean, look at this code. Okay? It's okay. Hey guys, are you able to hear me? I see it looks like there is some problem. It says degraded audio. Are you able to hear me well? Okay, Rakesh says yes, Naveen says yes, Anthony says yes. Okay, you do not have any problem, right? I mean, the webinar at times, it just gives a message saying that your audio might be getting degraded, etc., etc. So, okay, fine. So, coming back here, right? This is one of the programs that I wrote in order to, pull data from Twitter. Okay, there are tools available to do this. Can we run PyCharm through Putty? No, Babu, we cannot do that. The reason why I connected to Putty is to just show you some of the basic stuff. Okay, but most programming that I'm going to do is on PyCharm, and that will be in my Linux box. If you look at this code, right, even before, just to make it interesting, I wrote this in order to pull data from Twitter. I I pull all the data from Twitter, which is which has user ID or hashtag of Nike. It will pull all the tweets which has Nike in it, and the only few, it's just few lines of code here. See, it's just a couple of lines of code here, and the rest everything is more of getting the output in proper format. It's more of the rest everything is formatting. The code is only hardly I would say that 8 to 10 lines of code, and then you have data from Twitter. So guys who have understanding of Hadoop, you know that Flume does a lot of this work. Flume pulls streaming data, right? So for folks who do not know about Hadoop and Flume is a tool which is used to pull streaming data from Twitter. You can just configure this, you can configure whatever you want to pull the data and whatever hashtags or user ID that you want to pull, and then you run the program. It will continue to pull data for you as long as you want to. It's like a daemon will run in the background and will continue to pull you the data. That's what Flume does. But how do you pull all those data which are which are past data? Flume will only pull you present data or future data which might come. It will keep on waiting, and as soon as someone enters the data, it will pull you that data. But what if you want past data? The data that you tweeted yesterday or day before yesterday. And this is just one example of Twitter, right? We can. I have also written a program to download, to pull all this data from Facebook, any social networking site. So you can do that. It's pretty easy, once you understand this concept. So using Python, I mean, these are all, it's mandatory. It's a consumer key, consumer secret, etc. Don't worry about this. So basically, the logic is just here, and I tried to beautify it by providing date and time, etc. They try to make it more generic, so I've given that. Otherwise, the logic here is in the 7-8 steps. That's it. So Python makes it, so much easier for you to do many of the tasks which otherwise would have been extremely difficult. Just imagine writing this code in Java. I don't know, maybe you'll end up writing hundreds of lines of code there. So just look at the number of lines it uses here. And the most important thing, Amazon Web Services, etc., they're all written in Python. So all these things that you see in cloud, right, most of these things would have been written in Python. Now, we'll come back to our slides. Python is easy to program and read, and that was the point that I was trying to make. It's similar to Perl, but with powerful typing and object-oriented feature. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to explain here is that you see this. You look at this, right? Generally, for loop, we have we open braces and close braces, right? But in our cases, in case of Python, there is no open or close. It's all, there is no braces. It's all indentation. It's all spacing. You need to have, let's say, for example, 5 character space here, and after that, let's say a for inside a for, it has to be so many characters inside there, and then you have this created inside this. Again, these are all indentation. Okay, everything is indentation here. And when I ran this code quickly, it gave me this data. It just pulled the latest 3,200 past tweets, and then it has given me all these tweets. It's a nice format, right? It looks beautiful. So it does not, you'll be able to do this in, let's say, a couple of classes. You'll be able to write your own program and do a lot of things with Python. So going back to our Python, it's commonly used for producing HTML contents of website. Most of this, websites, they use Python to produce HTML content. And useful built-in types, lists and dictionaries. I'll be covering this in complete detail. What is a list? What is dictionary? So on and so forth. So just understand it's there right now. It's clean syntax. You have PYC. Normally, whenever you save a program, right, you see here it's .py, right? And what is PYC here? You might ask me. It's a compiled bytecode. Right? If you import a module, Python will build a .pyc file that contains the bytecode to make importing again easier later on. So you have again, if you do it with optimization, there is an option there. So if you want to optimize the code and then create your something similar to pyc compiled code, then the extension becomes pyo, and then you again have pyd, so on and so forth, right? There are a lot of extensions that are available. We'll see that. And get great for text processing in the sense that if you guys are working on artificial intelligence or natural language processing, then Python is the best language to use, right? So there are a lot of powerful things available in Python in NLP. You might, all these days, right, you might hear a lot of things about sentiment analysis. People keep talking about sentiment analysis. I have done this sentiment analysis. Even in news, if you open any of these news channels these days, they'll keep on saying that the sentiment analysis of Twitter or Facebook says that this particular person is doing so great, and otherwise, or he has a lot of negative sentiments associated with this person or this product, and so on and so forth, right? If you look at my Nike example, I would pull this data. I have all this data from Nike, right? And then do a sentiment analysis. When I say sentiment analysis, if I have to do a negative and positive sentiments, it can be as simple as, let's say, good. If there is a term good in any of this, right, in any of these tweets, then I might say that that's a positive sentiment. And if I have something like bad, in this sentence here, in this tweet here, I can say that this is a negative sentiment, right? So if I can have a collection of words, that's at a very that's like doing things in a very crude way, okay? But I can have a collection of words which are positive, maybe good, great, excellent. I would group this word and keep it separately as one file, and then I have like bad, worst, so on and so forth, right? All those negative words as next set of statements, and I would compare each of these tweets with my two set of words that I have. If it is like, if it comes on, if there is any word here like good, I would just blindly say that this is a positive sentiment, although that might not actually be correct. I'm just trying to give an example. And if there are some words which says that bad, at worst, etc., I might have this as a negative sentiment. So that ways, I'm doing a sentiment analysis at a very basic level. But with natural language processing, it reads the whole data here, and it's able to understand whether it's a positive sentiment or negative sentiment. There are a lot of packages already available in NLP. It just understands, it reads the statement, it understands it, and then it actually, as human do, right? When we read this sentence, when your first 14K run in your new something like lunar glides, okay, I'm not able to make out any positive or negative sentiments because it does not have anything. But let's say, for example, if you had such statements here, which is ambiguous, NLP will even be able to process those ambiguous statements and correctly identify whether that's positive, negative, or it can do any kind of sentiment analysis. So that's how powerful an NLP is. That's mostly NLP is used in robotics and artificial intelligence as well. So it's a very powerful package in Python. So that's why it says it's great for text processing. And then these are all text, right? Unstructured data. So far you what are the data you have been processing so far? Structured, semi-structured, all the data that are available in database, structured data, all the data like, for example, JSON and XML, etc. Semi-structured, you are processing structured, semi-structured. But how is it that you actually process unstructured data? And 90% of world's data is unstructured. It's just 10% of the data that you have in the whole world is structured. So what is it that you can do with all those unstructured data? Python can very well handle those data. So hence it's great for text processing. Now, coming back here, why Python? Python focuses on readability, coherence, and software quality in general, which sets it apart from other languages in the scripting world. Now, you might be like, this code does not look clean, right? There are a lot of comments here. These are all single line comments, right? A lot of comments here, and does not look clean. But let's see. Okay, this is one another code, right? What this does is, okay, I wrote this code in order to scrap data off a website. Okay, now what's that? Just go to any of this website, right? Let's say, for example, google.com, and then okay, and then I say finance, right? Google Finance. Let me go here. Now I do an IBM, right? See, if you go here, okay, Rakesh, is it okay now? Okay, Rakesh says it's better now. Okay. So it can be both ways, Rakesh. I mean, at times it can be from my side, or if not many folks are completing, then I would assume that it's from your side. Okay. So if you see here, right, I have international IBM's, all this. If you go here, you have net profit margin, you have the key stats here, right? Let's say I want to compare, I'm a stockbroker. Okay, I want to compare the stocks of net profit margin, etc., of IBM and let's say SAP. I want to buy some of this shares. How do I do it? Every time I need to let's say evaluate, I would go ahead and I'd have to type something here and then go back to this place and then see. Isn't there any way that I can have all this data side by side? Right? I can do that using Python again. I have written a small program which I'm not going to run it for you, of course, right now, which we'll do later in our course. But I've written a program wherein I pull all this data. You just have to mention the name of the companies, and then you'll have all this data side by side. So in one page itself, you can compare all this data and then decide as to what you want to do. So Python makes that much more easier. Now, just don't go by my code, okay? I'm pretty bad at that. I don't maintain proper indentation, etc. And it might not look good, but otherwise Python is Python's code is extremely readable, okay? And when you just look at Python code, you'll be able to understand as to what the author is trying to do. And okay, now developer productivity, Python code is typically 1/3 to 1/5 the size of C++ or Java code. See, this is most important here, right? 1/3 to 1/5 is extremely less. I mean, if you are writing 100 lines of code in some other, in C++ or Java, you're just writing, even if it's 1/3, you're just writing, 33% of, maybe 33 lines in 100 lines that you would have written in Java. So it's extremely less. And I would say it's not even 1/3. It's less than that. It's 1/3 to 1/5. It's somewhere between 1/3 to 1/5. Okay, so that means there's less to type, and when you have less to type, there will be less to debug, less to maintain, and it's a lot easier. The maintainability, readability, everything is much more higher in Python when you compare this to any other language. And Python was designed, so that it was designed in order to in order to help programmers or maybe scientists, I would say. They would want to analyze a chunk of data quickly, on ad hoc basis, and that's why Python came into existence. Program portability, Python programs run unchanged on all major computer platforms, right? You can you do not have to change it, and even when there is change of versions in Python, you don't have to change it. It's portable. Python is an interpreted language, by the way. Support libraries. Python comes with large collections of pre-built and portable functionality known as standard libraries. This library supports an array of application level programming tasks from text pattern matching to network scripting. Now, Python is open source, as most of you would know, and there are a lot of people who are contributing to Python, okay, day in and day out. And there are numerous packages that are available right now in Python, which you can reuse. Instead of writing code, you can just reuse them. That makes your life much more easier when you are writing. I was showing you the list of libraries that I have used. Okay, I have used libraries starting from Beautiful Soup to Django to Jinja to Pillow to the names are funny, but to Matplotlib. If some of you folks who might have used R would know that would know what a Matplotlib does. I've used IPython and Beautiful Soup. The latest version of Beautiful Soup, which is Beautiful Soup 4, NLTK, NumPy, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of this, and this is not even maybe 2% of all the packages that are available. It's so powerful. There are so many packages which are already available in Python that you can reuse this, right? You see this here, import OA2, right? When I was working on Twitter, and I was searching, there are so many packages already available to pull data from Twitter, right? Using this, and then I found out that OAUTH2 is the best amongst them, and hence, if I go back here, you see this. This is the package that I have imported, and I've used that package in order to do all my work here. Using this package as OAUTH, you see all this consumer token, etc. I've used that package and have done all my work. Okay. So there are a lot of other packages available as well. If you are working on something and you need some packages, you might as well Google it, because there are, and you'll find a lot of packages available. Please read through it and then implement the best one, whichever suits you. Python is ocean in itself. Okay, so you can understand the basics of it, but there would have been many individuals, many folks who are actively contributing to Python, and there are a lot of complex packages available over. So now, component integration. Python scripts can easily communicate with other parts of an application using variety of integration mechanisms. So this is one of an important concept that I'm going to talk, and which is not now, towards the fag end of the course, right? When we are, okay, 1 second. Okay, just a second, Deepika. I'll just come to that. Just give me a minute. Let me explain this, and I'll come back to that. So component, this is something that I'm going to discuss at the fag end during maybe in my 9th class, wherein I'll be using Python to actually talk to Hadoop and then do MapReduce. I'll also call Python from Hive. This might not be part of our course, but I want to show you as to how interesting this is. I see that many of you folks are from database. You have a little bit of a database background, so, and then even if you do not know Hadoop for that matter, you'll be able to understand, because Hive is similar to SQL query, and then I'll integrate that with Python and so as to how that looks. That'll be quite interesting. And enjoyment because of Python ease of use and built-in tool sets. Okay, it makes programming more pleasurable. Okay, so I don't know how many of you would find pleasure writing any code, but it's of course it's easy to use. Okay, coming back to your question, Deepika. When you import a package, how do you know what parameters to pass, what functions are available in the package? You'll have to read the documentation for every package that we get, right, that we import. There is a documentation that's available you'll have to read through those documentation and then find out, Deepika. That's how it is. Because even you can contribute or I can contribute, right? I can write some package and then have it available there. But until unless I know the documentation, the usage of it, as to what parameters should I pass and what is the output that I get, then until then makes no sense, right? I will take this as at least for one during the later part of our classes, or maybe on third classes. I'll show you some third or fourth classes. Okay, Deepika? Documentation of is that okay, Deepika? I mean, in our third classes. Okay, I can walk you through one example. I'm making a note of it. Okay, there are two things, and Babu will also ask me a question, which I'm going to cover that and on the packages. I make a note of it so that I do not forget. Okay, moving on to our next slide now about Python. Now these are stories that I'll quickly go through. This was invented in Netherlands in early 90s by Guido van Rossum and named after Monty Python, a comedy group, as Python is fun to use, right? Open source and interpreted language. Considered a scripting language, but it's much more than that. Now, if you compare Python with your Unix shell scripting, then Python is much more, or even batch scripting or any of the Perl scripting, Python is much more powerful than that. It's scalable, object-oriented, and functional, right? It's used by Google, increasingly popular. I can tell you for a fact that the entire Amazon Web Services has been written in Python. So it's just huge, powerful. Okay, Python job trends from Indeed.com shows remarkable increase. It was this was in January 2006, and look at in January 2013, and this is not going to come down. Okay, this is going to just go up and up and up. Python is at the top of the list among the top dogs: Java, JavaScript, and PHP, according to RedMonk first quarter plot of 2014 ranking. That means the popularity of Python is just skyrocketing right now. Babu, Amazon Web Service. I'm talking about Amazon Web Service. Whatever you write there, right? Let's say, for example, my Hadoop, MapReduce code, etc. That I would have written, any configuration there at the back end, it all gets converted into Python, and Python does everything there. I think they started writing with Perl. It is. I would not say is it dynamic and strong. Is it dynamic and strong type language? It is strongly typed language. But dynamic in the sense, I did not get you. I mean, in what context are you saying it as dynamic? Okay. Babu says okay. Okay, Dino, I am waiting. You can respond to it in what context you are saying it as dynamic, and then we'll discuss about that. So users of Python. Okay, you see this YouTube was originally written in Python and MySQL, right? YouTube. Okay, look at the users. I mean, all the powerful all the biggies are users of Python. Dropbox web-based file hosting is implemented using Python. Both the Dropbox server, running cloud, and desktop client software are primarily written in Python. So if you have used Dropbox, I use it. You see this? I use it all the time. So Yahoo acquired 411, whose address and mapping lookup services were implemented in Python. Yahoo Maps uses Python again. Google, many components of Google Spider and search engine are written in Python. So the reason why people prefer Python is because it's easier to code. There are a lot of packages already available. People are contributing to it, and hence all of these Job Corporation, UltraSeek, Sopila, EM, almost all of not all of these are using Python, and there are many others which we have not mentioned here who are users of Python. Okay. Is it bound to a value or can be reassigned or need to be bound to the original type for the lifetime? Can only reference type compact instances. So it is okay. Let me try to rephrase what you have said. Right. Okay. Dynamic meaning, is it bound to a value or can be reassigned or needs to be bound to the original type for its lifetime? In this sense, it is dynamic. Yes, in this sense, it is dynamic, and once you have set a value to a particular variable or yes, I think it's dynamic. That way you can take it. And when I'm actually explaining you the code, like C and Smalltalk, yes, it's almost many of the features were initially taken from C. As you'll also see that C and Java is from where they started building Python. So it's more like C and Smalltalk. Yeah, no problem. So we'll go here. Traditional uses of Python is of course scripting a C++ program, C Python interpreter, right? You have again Jython interpreter as well, and which we'll talk during the later part, wherein you write your code in Python and then it gets converted internally into Java bytecode, and then it works like a Java. So that is where you need the Jython. So all this code that we write in Python, is executed as Jython. You'll have to use the Jython interpreter to execute this in Hadoop, okay? Because at the end of the day, the entire base on which Hadoop is built, is on Java. And guys, I'll be referring to Hadoop and big data a lot more, because the course has been intended. The intention of this course is not just Python, but to give you a background of how Python is used with big data. So Python code, the interpreter will be used as Jython, and then will be and we make it work in Hadoop. You have CPython, you have script.py. So this is how you have the Python extension is .py, as you have already seen that. Python is used in image processing, in artificial intelligence, NLP. All this has different packages. So like artificial intelligence has NLP, your GUIs, Tinker, GTK, Windows. Now for GUIs you can use Django, right? You have database. There are a lot of packages available for database, image processing, system utilities, internet scripting. Like the first page itself of this PPT, we saw that it's mostly used to create the HTML content of an web page. So these are the traditional uses of Python, but it's not limited to this. It's much more than this. Uses of Python in data analytics, I think this is where you'll be more interested. Now, weather forecasting. Now, okay, I'll cover that. Weather forecasting, scientific analysis, ad targeting, risk management analytics, right? So let me take one example. I'll go through this and then I'll ask you a question. New use cases of Pythons are the major growth driver for increasing demand of Python skills, right? New use cases are maybe the advent of big data, right? The advent of Hadoop has led to increase in the demand of Python skills. Okay. These use cases are emerging because of various reasons. One of which is new packages that were added onto standard libraries such as PyDo, Pandas, SciPy, etc. Now, PyDo is the package that is used for Hadoop, right? You can execute your Hadoop directly from PyDo, your Pandas, SciPy, etc. for machine learning, and it's more like a replacement for Mahout inside Python itself. We'll see how to use them in further classes. Now, guys, do we know what an ad targeting is? I just want to give you a brief idea of what that is, and and move on. I'll not talk about everything because weather forecasting, everyone knows that we get minute by minute data, and then based on this huge data set, we forecast or we predict as to what is going to happen maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow. When is the monsoon of when is the onset of monsoon, and how is monsoon getting delayed, etc. Those are all weather forecasting scientific analysis. It's used to analyze even your medicine and a lot of things. Okay, but let's talk about ad targeting here. Okay, targets the okay, Ravendra says it's target the particular audience. Anthony, recommendation engine. Okay. Okay. Naveen says showing of ads based on customer previous viewing. Okay. Like people between 55-75 for retirement benefits. Okay. Okay. Amit Panda, ad campaign is done for target customer, right? So I wrote this program, okay, wherein, I mean, not a program, it was an entire project wherein we would find out users or a mobile phone user in a particular location. Okay. Now, I think okay. Fine. So we wrote this program wherein we would identify users based on particular location. Let's say, for example, I have Walmart or Target. This programmer intended to be sold to all these giants, wherein they will know that who are the users in and around in the vicinity of that store, maybe 10-mile radius or so, and then they will be able to target this ad at those users. I mean, it's no point targeting ad to someone. Let's say I am in Austin, Texas, and then I'm targeting an ad in India. I'm sending an ad in India. It's waste of effort, right? You're trying to push in something to someone's mobile phone based on lot of criteria, maybe IME, address, or maybe the IP address, and so on and so forth, right? So if you are pushing something from Austin, Texas, if you have a Target store in Austin and then you're pushing that ad to someone in India, does not make sense. So using R, you find out those outliers and stuff. That is an interesting program, but it's like it can target to that extent that it will know what your interests are. It would have the program would have done analysis on your buying pattern as to if you log in your let's say computer, and then you want to, let's say for example, you go into a computer and then you log into Amazon.com website, you search for a Nike shoe, right? The next time maybe you log into Facebook, you would see that the same shoe or maybe a Reebok shoe is appearing on the right hand side of the screen, on your screen, and then it would say that Reebok is giving a 10% discount on this particular brand of shoes which you were trying to buy of Nike. So there are many ways that this ad targeting issues, and it's very interesting. I'll give an example here. You guys all of you would have smartphones, right? Okay, I have seen it. Okay, yes, I have seen it once. I started searching for Hadoop training. Yes, Anthony, and then you see Edureka appearing everywhere, right? So that's ad targeting. Now that you have clicked off to Edureka, you'll see it everywhere. Go to Facebook, go anywhere, you'll see that. All right. Okay, great. So I was talking about ad targeting, wherein I was talking about mobile phones. Okay, look how dangerous it can be. I mean, the advantage of big data, there is no privacy at all. Okay, so many times you download many of these applications from your for your mobile, right? And then you say agree and allow, right? Even without reading the entire statement, whatever has been written there. How many of you guys have done that? I'm sure most of you have done that, right? I mean, you want a GPS application, you just download it and then say you agree even without reading it. And many times you see that it says that I am going to read your call logs. Okay, these days they have stopped it, but at some of those apps will still have it. They say that we will access your call log, will access the data and will store it, but then will not share it, etc., etc. They will give all this information. So what they do is, when you download this app, let's say you download an app for Amazon.com for shopping. You downloaded that app. What Amazon would do is read all your call logs, okay, and then you, let's say you start buying a Nike shoe. The next time you see, your friends, your immediate friends and families have also started getting the same ad. You know, how does that happen? It's reading your call logs, and then it's finding out all those people that you're calling, your close knit of people, let's say 6 to 10 people that you call. Based on that, you know, this ads will be served to them as well. And then, you know, because you are buying a Nike shoe, your friend is most likely, you know, might get influenced by you or by the same brand or same kind of product that you have bought, right? So that's the type of ad targeting that's being done. And all your data, at each and every time you log into internet and you provide some kind of data, or you have some kind of data in your cookies as well, in your web page, everything is stored record by record. Someone out there, some program out there is analyzing your every step, right? And that's how you'll be surprised to see that many times you might be thinking that, you know, okay, I need to buy this dress, or maybe I need to buy this mobile phone, and that the ad is already there. And many times it so happens that, you know, they force you to buy even when you do not want, by giving you like say 10% discount, 20% discount. You know, they force you to buy because it keeps on flashing onto your screen, and you know, it seeps onto your mind, and then you start buying it. You know, that's the level of I would not say manipulation, but that's the level of ad targeting that's being done. And I can assure you, all of you in this class, each one of your record is being stored by Google. Facebook already has your data. You know, Twitter is already analyzing it. And every one of these major organizations do have your data. And then if you are like a high brand, high net worth individual, you'll be getting a lot of things based on your data already available on social networking sites or elsewhere. A lot of research is being done, and I've been involved in certain projects, so I know. You know, I used to work with a very senior data scientist. Okay, I mean, he was almost in his retirement age, and he never used to use a smartphone. I asked him this question as to why he does not use a smartphone. You know, the answer he gave me was, I have designed many you know, an application wherein people, you know, I just pull out details of those particular individuals who are installing those apps, etc. You know, I do not want to fall on the same category wherein someone else will be analyzing my data, and hence he never used a smartphone. He used to use a basic phone. You know, those were days when I started working with him initially, and you know, he had worked in a lot of places, and then he had come out from there, and then he used to say all those things to me. So, okay, now moving on to our next slide, Python user for data analytics. Forecast Watch is they use this for weather forecasting. Okay, you can go to forecastwatch.com for further information on data analytics on weather forecasting. You'll also get huge sets of data if you want to write your program. Okay, if you want to write your let's say complex program, or you want to have huge sets of data, that will also be available here. Or you know, if you want, you can send us an email. We will provide you not just, I mean, we'll give you a link where you will be able to download GBs and GBs of data for your analysis. AppNexus is a real-time online advertising platform. Company uses the Python programming language to help conduct heavy-duty data analysis. These are again examples: Altus, Los Alamos, right? So you see, the scientists in the theoretical physical division at Los Alamos National Laboratory, they are using Python to control large-scale physics cores on massive parallel supercomputers, high-end servers and clusters. So basically, Python is used everywhere. Now, Python timelines. Okay, now we're slowly going inside the technical aspects of it, leaving behind the evolution of Python. Python started in January 1994, 1.5 and 1.6 version, and then slowly it came to 2000, wherein 2.1, 2.2, 2.6. Now will be using this version 2.7, which was released on July 3, 2010. There are a lot of these packages, right? These packages that you have been seeing, right? All these packages, you'd ask me as to why I do not use 3.2 right now, right? See, some of these packages are written in 3.2, but most of these packages, right, are compatible with 2.7 version, and hence 2.7 is the most used version in Python right now. So this is what I'm using. You can use 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4 as well. I mean, that's up to you. But for this class, I'll be using 2.7 version because some of these packages that I want to show is on 2.7 and which are the stable version. In this course, we are going to use the Python version 2.7.6. Okay, that's the version of Python that we are using. It is because the library support for version 3.x is not adequate to fulfill day-to-day business needs. Okay, and in industry, most of the softwares are using 2.7. It is 2.7. I mean, people are also using 2.6, and 2.6 also was a stabler version before 2.7. So people have started moving to 2.7 lately, but prior to this, I was also using 2.6, and then I moved on to right now. I think in my system you'll see 2.7.5 or 7. I don't know, but 2.7.x is the version that I'm using, and hence it's most widely used version. Language feature. Now, okay, this is how are you flying? It's just trying to say that using Python you can fly. It's there is no limit to what you can do with Python. You can do everything starting from starting with any language that you have used, right? You might have used C, C++, Java, or so on and so forth. Any languages, or even for that matter, machine learning, R, and be it for business intelligence, be it for data warehousing types, be it for data mining, data processing. Python is one-stop solution for everything. It can do everything. Now, Python is interpreted. Now, guys, can you tell me? Okay, we'll read this and then I'll ask you a question. Python is interpreted, object-oriented, highly readable, dynamic. Okay, it's dynamic, interactive, and functional, right? Now, guys, what is the difference between an interpreted and compiled language? If you can quickly tell me that. I'll give you 1 minute to respond to this. Okay, Babu, that's very fast. Line by line in interpreter. Okay, is interpreter. Compiled at runtime. Okay. Okay. Dino, I'm just asking the difference between a compiler and interpreter, or compiled. I'm sorry, a compiled language or an interpreted language. Raghavendra says converted to machine readable. Okay, interpreter. Okay, Shiv Shankar, not so sure about that. No problem, Shiv Shankar. I mean, it's no big deal. We will discuss about that. I'm just asking so as to understand from you guys as to what are your understanding. Compiler converts high level to machine level in single shot. Okay. Babu, you know it. Prasad, compiled is already machine readable. Okay. Java is compiled. Okay. I get an example as well, and it's generated .exe for execution. Compile creates object code that needs to be linked. Right. Interpreted needs to be compiled. Okay. I'll just give you it. You are all right. For folks who do not understand, compiler would translate the high-level instruction into machine language, right? But the interpreter translates the high-level instruction into an intermediate code. So that's the difference, right? Instead of converting into machine language, it translates into intermediate code, and interpreter also takes, it does convert of your. It converts to intermediate code line by line. Every line is converted one line at a time. But when it comes to compile, everything is done in one shot. So that's difference, and our Python is an interpreted language. Okay, and Dina also says internal needs interpreter needs some sort of virtual machine. Oh yes, this is also a point, right? That thanks Dino. Okay, now we'll move on to our next slide. Okay. Now how to get Python, guys? In another I want to grab a glass of water. So in another 2 minutes, after this slide, I'm going to take a break. Does being an interpreted language makes it slower? It does actually, no, but there are advantages and disadvantages of both the interpreted and compiled language. Let's say, for example, your interpreted language, if you have an error, right, it just comes out of it. You know where the error is. But for compiled, it will take everything and compile it, right, and then it will show you all the errors there. In case of interpreted, you know which line the errors are. So it has its advantages and disadvantages. It is a little slower, yes, but I think overall at the end, when you look at it, you'll have to. I mean, if you have a requirement, you'll have to understand as to what the requirements are, and based on that, you can choose any of the languages. Like many prefer going to Java, and many prefer coming to going to C or Python for that matter. It depends upon what is it that you want. But not so much of a difference though. No problem. So how to get Python? Python is pre-installed on most Unix machine, right? You see here. Now let me quickly go here, and then in my terminal, this is my Linux machine. Guys, I'll not be able to see your question for now. I'll not be using this. Okay, if you say Python, see this, it's 2.7.5, right? It comes with Python. Linux machine, all Linux machine comes with Python pre-installed on it. The pre-installed version is 2.x, which in my case it is 2.7.5. Here, okay, let me increase the font size so that you're able to see it properly. It's the same thing, okay? It's the same thing. You do it with PuTTY, or you go and do it in terminal. It's the same thing. You see, you do Python version, and then you can get the version. Please refer the detailed installation guide available in LMS. To getting help in Python now. Okay, can we really need that VM? I have installed 3.4 PyCharm on my Windows. That's fine, Naveen. You might have to do a little bit of workaround for certain packages, but for learning purposes, Naveen, don't worry about it. Because anyways, we are not going to do advanced programming in Python, right? So it will not make so much of a difference. Okay. Now, coming here, getting help in Python. Python interpreter has a built-in function called help object. This function is intended for interactive use, which invokes the help system to use the function type help or the help object, right? You can do all those things. Here, if you say, Python, you are inside Python, right? It's as simple as that. And then if you say help, you see it says type help for interactive help or help object. So you get all this information. Let's say, for example, I say help 4. Right? You get all the, it's similar to manual pages, right? You get all as to what you need to do. So that's what it's saying here. Or if you are in let's say, for example, Windows, you can just say Python and help. This will also work. Python can, okay, no such file or directory. Python See this, this is help, welcome. If this is your first program, you go to this docs and it will give you all those problems. So you can use it for no Python documentation fund for help for. So basically, if you use it for anything, I mean, use it on Windows, use it on Linux, you know, wherever you are comfortable, just use it there, and this are few of the examples that you can run. So guys, I need a few minutes break. It's 8:33 and my time 8:34. If you can give me around 6 minutes break, I'll grab a glass of water and you know, come back in 5 minutes. Are we okay with that? Getting help in Python documentation. Now there is a command called pydoc, right, which you can use to get documentation. Pydoc is a documentation module for Python which gets installed with any Python distribution. So if you here, okay, if you say file, okay, not here, just give me a second. I'm logging into another screen. You see this? If you do a pydoc 4, but you should not be doing that inside your Python, this one, okay? Of course, okay, guys, if you have any questions, Vishnu, thanks for asking this. Just send it over to Hadoop at Edureka. Okay, just send it at support@edureka.in, and you can copy me as well. My, you know, my email ID is Balram, BALARAM @edureka.in. So, you know, either support will respond back to you or I'll respond back to you. Okay. Now, few of the steps, you know, pydoc, like you saw, right? You just type pydoc and then say for. See here, you know, that's how you'll get everything here. The syntax, the statement as to what it does, etc., etc. pydoc allows programmer to access Python's documentation, generate HTML files, HTML pages with documentation specifics, and find the appropriate module for a particular job. pydoc can be accessed from module-specific GUI with Python interpreter or from command line cell. Right here, this is how. Here, if you see this, the for statement is used for to iterate over elements. It gives an explanation as well as syntax, you know, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of information that's available here. See this, there's an example as well. Okay. So that's why pydoc is used for. Or you can, there's another way, or you can just say here help, and then you get the same thing as well. So these are just two different ways. Python IDE, we all know what an IDE is. We'll be mostly using you know, PyCharm here. So PyCharm is the more, you know, the most used IDE for Python. So please use PyCharm. It'll be easier to program. You know, this is how PyCharm looks like. You can just say new project, give a name, and then untitled whatever. Oh. You know, you just get this. Okay. This is PyCharm. This is how it looks like. File, and I can say a Python file test.python, and then you have it. Okay, Arun says, why are we using VM? Can we install Python on Windows and try using some? Arun, it's up to your discretion as to what you want to use. You can use Eclipse, you can use whatever you want to do, but you know, but we will have certain example, Hadoop example later on. The reason why we are saying, you know, that we will be using Python over VM is because, you know, we have classes on Hadoop as well, and Hadoop has to be installed in Linux, right? I mean, with the latest release, you can also install it in Windows, but the more stable version is used in Linux, and there will be integration of Hadoop and Python. So that's the reason why we have asked, you know, you guys to install it on VM. Okay, got it. so that we, I can explain everything in Windows, but then finally, when you start seeing Hadoop, you might get confused. So we wanted to maintain the consistency across. So here it goes. The ID we'll be using is PyCharm, right? You just saw my PyCharm here. I can just open. Okay, fine. Here, let me go to the next slide. Python ID. Now you can download it. Okay, this is easy, right? You can just go ahead and download from wherever you want to. Okay, to start Python, all you need to do is type Python on your command, right? This is again in my putty, quit. Okay, all I did was I wrote Python and then I'm inside my Python cell. Okay, type Python into your terminal or command line. After a short message, you get this, and then you can say print, and then you write your first program, hello world, right? You have it here. PyCharm can be used for programming, the more complex programming. You can import the packages, and then when you click on dot package, you'll get all the list of available classes inside it. So it's more like closer to Java. You get the look and feel of Java here. So in addition to being a programming language, Python is also an interpreter. The interpreter reads other Python programs and commands and executes them, right? You can see here, print hello world, right? And then you can also have quantity stored in memory are not displayed by default. You can store values something like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when you say X, it will give you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And also if you just say let's do this, okay, you'll see how powerful Python is. Okay, X equal to, okay, I think not, let's 5, 6, 7, 8. You see this now? You see this? Everything here, or let's say for example, for that matter, Y equal to, okay, some name, mark. You just do Y mark. M. You see this? This is an array and list in itself, right? This is a list in itself. Now, this is a list, X equal to 5, 6, 7, 8, and then when you do X, it gives you all the values here, okay? And if you do X1 or X0 for that matter, you get 6, 0, and the first index. Everything is indexed, like I told you, right? This is the 0th value, first value, second value, and third value. Now, if you do X of 0 or 1, you get this values from here. And likewise, even in string, now this is number. So you can say that, okay, fine, this is number and which is separated by commas. So, okay, you can understand that. But look at this example. When I say Y equal to mark, it is a string here in this case. And when I just print Y, it gives me the value. But when I print Y of 0, it is M. If I say Y of 1, right, it is A, so on and so forth. Now, everything is a list here, okay? Everything is a list here, starting from a string to number to anything, that's a list in Python. Now, we'll move on to the next slide. Comments, right? Any text to the right hand side of the symbol is mainly useful as notes for the reader. Now, okay, I had opened it. I'll go back and open my program once again. No, authentication. Okay. You saw this, right? You see this, all this, these are comments. Okay, these are single line comments. Has is a single line comment. Bulk comments enclose the code in triple quotes, right? 1, 2, 3. 3 times your code is a bulk comment. Okay. Here you see this is a bulk comment. This is a multi-line comment. 3 times you have mentioned the quotes here. 1, 2, 3. Literal comments any number or string that literal constant, sorry, any number or strings that represents itself, it's a literal constant. Example, there are two, the number 2 always represents itself and nothing else. It's a constant because its value cannot be changed. So x equal to 2, right? Now there's one more important thing that ID of, okay, x equal to 2. You see this, the most basic difference between a Python and any other programming language is here. Okay, guys, please pay some attention to me right now. You see this, the ID of 2, everything has an ID, okay, and you can think of this as a unique address, unique number, whatever you want to think of this as. But look at the ID of 2, which is 22649936, or even for that matter, just think of this as a unique number. Okay, everything in Python will have a unique number. Now 2 has this value. I assigned 2 to x, and x also still has the same value, right? 22649936. Now let me assign this to y, and then ID of, it's still the same. So it's not actually the variables which it is pointing to. It is pointing to the value. Okay. In most other programming language, it so happens that you have a variable and then you have assigned a value to it. The variable will have an address associated with it. But in case of Python, it is the value which has got that ID. Here it's called as ID, which has got the ID here and not the variable. Variable has no meaning without value in this case. Make sense? Now, we'll come to these concepts a little later, but I just thought, I'll give you an interesting piece of it while I'm explaining Python. Now, types of number, Python supports several different numeric types, right? If you see here the examples, integers 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and negative integers as well. Integers are implemented as C-longs. And this is integer are same as C long, right? Minus it's 32 bytes, 32 bits. Sorry. Note: dividing an integer by another integer will return only the integer part of quotient. Typing 7 by 2 will yield 3. Okay. Let's see now. See again. Another interesting concept here is when I do a 7 by 2, you get 3. Now, any idea as to how do I get that actual floating point value? Because 7 by 2 is not 3. It is 3.5, right? Any idea as to how do I get the value? Okay, Vishnu. Okay, Vishnu is saying 0.0, 7.0. Excellent, Raghavendra, Prasant, or 3.0. Rakesh, Naveen. Need to make 1 to float. Yes, you guys already know it. So let's see if I do a 7.0 divided by 2, it's 3.5 or 2.0. It's easy, right? You can use floor division. Okay. Yes, Babu. It's easy, right? It's not that difficult after all. Python is easy. Now let's go to long integers example. This must end with either L, small l, or capital L. Okay. This is how the long integer are represented. Can be arbitrarily long. Okay. You can have any number of values here. So. And then the floating point numbers, you see 0 point, right? 1.0, 1 E 10, 3.14 e to the power e minus 2. So implemented as C doubles. So these are the examples of floating point numbers. These are implemented as C doubles. Division was normally, okay, it's here, right? See, instead of doing this, you could have also done just 7 point. And, it's very easy. I mean, the way it has for integers, is there any limit or on number of digits? It's 2 to the power 32. I mean, just count it, Raghavendra. 2 to the power minus 32, 2 to the power 32. So basically, no limit. You can think of that as no limit. And operation involves both float and integer will yield float, right? This is again the rule that it follows here. Python follows the rule PEDMUS. We'll see that. I think it's there in our next slide. So you know BODMUS, right? Bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So likewise, Python also follows the rule PEDMUS. It's parenthesis, and we'll come to that. We'll come to that. It's there. It's here in our next slide. Okay. Type of numbers, octal numbers are represented as 0, 1, 7, 7, must start with the leading 0. These are octal numbers. Hexadecimal. Now Python is a language that has been designed for scientists, data scientists, and so on and so forth, right? We need represent octal, hex, hex representation, complex number representation, etc. We want all those things. So must start with the leading 0. That's for octal. For hexadecimal, it's must start with OX or O capital X, and complex number is like how we have done in mathematics, A plus IJ. That's how we used to do in school and colleges, right? So it's same here, 3 plus 4J, 3.0 plus 4.0J, and so on and so forth. So it's basically RE plus IMJ. This is like number plus the complex number here, which has to be tagged along with the J letter here, J alphanumeric here. Identifier, Python identifies the rules for variables name. A Python identifier is a name used to identify a variable, function, class, module, or an object. So there are certain rules that you need to remember. First of all, that an identifier can start with anything from capital A to Z to small a to Z, or an underscore followed by 0 or more letters, underscore and digits 0 to 9, right? So these are few rules that you have to remember. Of course, even if you don't remember, when you start writing the programs, it will automatically come to you. Python is a case-sensitive programming language, right? You cannot, small I and capital I will mean two different things. Python does not allow special characters as @ $, and percentage with identifiers. Okay, we'll see that now. Variables are used. If I say, see, it's giving me an error because I've used this special character here. But if I say, and then I say print, it's giving me 10 or 10, right? So that's how it is. Python does not allow special characters such as this. Okay. Identifier naming conventions for Python. Class name starts with an uppercase letter and all other identifiers with lowercase letter. So, the class name will always start with an, this is the naming convention, even if you do not do so. Okay. What about double underscore? Okay, double underscores are used for internal purposes like initialization, init functions and stuff. So you do not use that. Okay, Prasant. You can use that, but then it is a practice and it's a general norm that we do not use double underscore. While we are writing classes and objects, that is when we use double underscore, but for defining variables, etc., or identifiers, we do not use that. Okay, Prasant? Okay, no problem. And starting an identifier with two leading, you see this? That's what you asked me this question. Starting an identifier with two leading underscore indicates a strongly private identifier. So this is only used when you are writing your classes and when you are working on object-oriented part of Python. So otherwise, it's a normal norm and convention that we do not use those while we are writing our programs, normal programs. If the identifier also ends with true trailing underscore, the identifier is a language-defined special name. If it ends with two trailing underscores, like what you have asked, it's a special name. For arithmetic operators, plus, minus, star, divide by, I don't think you want me to show this. You'll all know that. The only important thing here was to show as to how do you get a floating point number when you are dividing two numbers, right? You know that it has to be either dot, 0 or anything. And then modulo is A% B, exponential is A star B. Okay, so other elementary functions are not part of standard Python, but included in package in are included in packages like NumPy and SciPy. Okay, so there are other functions as well which are not part of standard Python, but when we talk about NumPy, we'll be talking about that. Comparison operator greater than less than. So let's quickly see this comparison operator, right, as to what it does. 5 is less than 7. True, it does a Boolean comparison, right? 7 is less than 5, false. Okay, and then so these are comparison operator, a less than or equal to, rest you will understand the result in Boolean result, true or false, a equal to b, non equal to b. This is some of the important concepts here. Okay, bitwise operator, right? If you do a or b, 7 or 5 is 7, and if you remember, I mean, how is it? Do you all understand as to how this 7 is represented as 1, 1, 1? If you do not understand this, please let me know. If you do not understand this, I will explain, or if all of you understand, then I'll just move ahead. If you go here, Notepad, this is okay. 1 second. 1. 4, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, so on and so forth, right? This is how the value here. Okay, Noor says, no problem. Noor, I'll explain that. 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1. Yes, Raghavendra, thanks. It's binary number. Okay, so binary number is represented as either 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, or 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, and so on and so forth, right? 2 to the power of 0 and 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, so on and so forth, right? These are the binary representation. Now, if I have to represent 7 here, all I have to do is I'll have to add as to how it adds up to 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. So this becomes 1, 1, 1. Now, if it has to be 8, I'll have to say 1, 0, 0, 0, right? If it has to be 5, then 1, 0, 1, right? This is how the representation, the binary representation is done. Now we'll go back to our slide. The bitwise operators does a binary operation, right? It says if you do a 7 or 5, it will take the binary 1 or 1 equal to 1, 1 or 0 equal to 1, 1 or 1 equal to 1, and then the output is 7. Okay, so that is how it is done. Is this clear, guys? Yes. Hey, Noor, are you clear on this, the binary representation of number 7? No, please let me know if I understand the binary representation. Okay, and this one also, right? The bitwise operator or concept, it's good, right? We are good with this. Okay, but not the bitwise selection. How do you apply this bitwise in an example? Okay, in an example, let me take this an example, 7 or 5. You have this here. You see, when we do a 7 or 5, we are getting 7 as an output here, but in the background, everything is converted into bitwise operators, right? 1, 1, 1 and 1, 0, 1, and then there is OR operation that is being done on those bits, and then finally you have the result here. The 7 is represented as 1, 1, 1, that is equal to 7 now, and then 5 is represented as 1, 0, 1. Why is 1, 1? Yes, sure. I'm explaining that. Okay, so this is the value. 1, 0, 1 is, this is 1, 2, and 4. Okay, and this is at the top. So this is my bits, right? You understand bits. So when I do an OR, OR selection, when I do an OR, 1 or 1 equal to 1, right? Because 1 or 0 is equal to 1. 1 or 1 is equal to 1. It is actually not selecting 1, 1, 1, Noor. It is selecting the result of this data that we have, 7 or 5. I understand now. Excellent. Okay, let's move ahead. Please, guys, if you do not ask questions, I can repeat any number of times right now, because these are basic concepts on which we will have to build ourselves later on. So likewise, AND operator, I hope you understand all this. 1 and 1 equal to 1, 1 and 0 equal to 0, 1 and 1 equal to 1. This is how it is. XOR operator, in XOR operator you have, if there is only difference in this case 1 and 0 will be 1, 1 and 1 will be 0, 0 and 0 will also be 0, 1 and 1 will be 0, right? Okay, Raghavendra, sure, I am coming to that. Okay, shift a left or right bits. Okay, let's see this. 7 and 5, right? Now, if I have to do a representation of 7, how do I do this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Right? This is my 7. Four, 8, 16, 32, and then this is 64. 4, 8, 16, 30, 64, 120. Okay, this is my, okay, this is 7 and 5. 5 is 1, 0, 1. Now rest all is 0. Now all it says is, move this 5, 7, this is 5, would be you are moving this 5 towards, you see this here, 5 places left. 7 got shifted 5 position left. This 7, which is this, it got shifted 5 position left. Okay, so in this case, this 7 would get shifted how many? 5 position left. This is 5 and this is 7. Now all it is saying is move this to 5 position left. Now in 5 position left, my output will look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1. For the next one, it again gets 5 position shifted left, 1. This also gets 5 position shifted left, 1. And then the rest everything is okay. And then you have 7 got shifted 5 position left. It becomes like this. And then you have your output. If I do a 7 shift 5 position left, you get 224, right? Let's calculate the value here. Now 128 plus 64 plus 32 is how much? It comes to 224, right? 60, 70, 80, 20. Yes, it comes to your 224. So that's the value, right? Okay. So that's about it. If I do a 7 and then you shift 5, so what happens when you shift 5? So you might have some other question. One big use in graphics programming are 1/0 represents pixels. Thanks, Dino. So this is used in graphics programming, guys, as Dino is saying. Okay, there are other uses as well, but in graphics programming as well, we use it. And the other question that you might be asking is 7 shifting, 5 position left, right? Left shift operator. This is left shift operator. 7 shifted 5 places left. Now, what happens if you are shifting to the right where there is nothing, right? You see, in this case, right? If you shift 7, 5 position to the right, there is nothing on right, so it will just be 0. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Operation on numbers. In addition to other operators, you have not surprisingly, Python follows the basic PADMAS. Okay, it's not BODMAS here, it's PADMAS. Parenthesis, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Now its multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction remains same. Its bracket also remains same. Bracket of division, multiplication. Okay, that's division, multiplication. This is multiplication and division. Okay, guys, you have to remember PEDMAS and not BODMAS when you are working on Python. Python supports mixed math type. The final answer will be of the most complicated type used. So if it is int and float, it will be float. Now, if you look at this expression, if you try to evaluate this expression, right, 100 minus 24 into 3 percentage 5. Now, I'm sure I do not have to explain this to you because you all, after having looked at PEDMAS, you would have understood as to what this is. But let's quickly go, evaluate this. 100 and then minus 24 into 3 percentage 5, right? That multiplication comes first. There is no bracket here. There is no exponent here. So multiplication comes first. It does 24 into 3. And then you have exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, order of operation. And then you have your modulus of here. You have percentage or modulus operator here, which is the second. If you divide 72 by 5, 2 is the remainder here. So you have 2, and final will be 100 minus 2, which is 98. So these are the operation on numbers. Operation on strings. Okay, this is one of the most powerful feature of Python. Okay, operation on string. Like I have told you, right? See, if you do a plus, you see this. It's so powerful and so beautiful. You can do a lot of things here actually. If you do ABC plus DEF, it's a string concatenation, right? And then if you have, let's say for example, if you see ABC and into 3, it gets repeated thrice. And if you say X equal to, whatever ABC, and then you say X of 0, like what I did, you can do list. So it's very powerful in the sense that you can do anything with the strings that you have. You do not have to explicitly write, huge line of code in order to do this. Let's say, for example, if you were to be in C or in Java, right, or any other programming language, and you have one variable with this string. So just to find A, B, or C, you would have to write code. In this case, you do not have to write this. Let's say I just want last character. You can just calculate. You can have the length of X, right, and then you can say X okay, this is X of, okay, you will have to assign this most recent error is string index, okay, length of X minus 1. See, it's very powerful. Okay, or you can say Babu is saying do an X minus 1. Yes, you are right. Right? So it's very powerful. You just don't have to write a lot of code. It's you can just write one line of code, and then you get away with writing complicated code. Okay, you're saying X length, right? X equal to ABC into 3. Curious why X dot length seems more natural. So you come from Java J2E background, Dino, I guess. When we are giving any unknown value. Okay, more I hate Java with a passion. Okay, fine. Even in our whatever you said, that's how we do it. But in this case, it's more like this. And when we are writing object oriented code, and then with importing few packages, we can do the way you are thinking right now. X.Led as well. But we'll have to import few packages based on the basic architecture that's not available. How about error parsing? Okay, Prashant says when we are giving any unknown value. So when you are giving any unknown value, right, here, so this is unknown value, right? When you do an X of length, length will give you, when you do a length of X, it gives you 3, but then the indexing starts from 0. So when you do this, it says, line 1 index error, string index out of range. You see this, Prashant? It just gives you x, or x of 4 for that matter is the same thing, right? Okay, says Prashant. Fine. So that's how it is. We'll just move on to the next one. In this case, okay, strings are concatenated. There are a lot of other, string operations, difference module 1, operation on strings. You see that these are part of assignments, okay, which I'm not going to walk you through this. Please go through this and then get back to me if you have any questions. Strings are immutable here. There are a lot of things that are being done on strings here. So go through this and then get back to me if you have any questions. And then you have indexing, slicing operations, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of things in LMS. Just go through them as well today before you come to tomorrow's class, which will help you understand better. And also the other thing, right? Other here. See this? You can slice and dice with string and play around with that. Okay, I mean he doesn't assign any null value. Okay, got it. There is no null value assignment over here, Prashant. It doesn't. Yes, and then you see this. Let's say I just want 2 values, right? My x is, if I print x, it's a, b, c. I just want the first 2 values. I can just say x and nothing to 2, right? It gives you 2. Let's say I want from 2 onwards everything. I mean after 2, what is it? Before 2, it is AB. After 2, it's just C, right? And then I will say I need only 1 to 2, right? It will just take from 1 and then, okay, it will just take after 1 and 2. But if I do, because the index anyway starts with 0, right? See, there are so many things that you can do with the string functions here. You have an assignment. Please go through that assignment and come back tomorrow. If you have any questions. Indexing and slicing operation. Python starts with indexing at 0. We all know that by now. So that too would be the number of items and not index. Correct? Yes. I mean it starts with 0 and 1, right? Vishnu, if you see here. Okay, you got it. Okay, Python starts with indexing at 0. The strings will have indexes running from 0 to length -1, and that's why when I did this for the first time, right? When you see this, when I did x of length, I got an error because the length would give me 3 because the length will not say 2, right? It will not say 0, 1, and 2 length. Length will be 1, 2, and 3, right? And but if I have to find out the value there, I have to give the index, which is length -1. Okay, Dino says, I can see now when you say Python is very good for natural language processing, you can see the power of parsing and tokenizing features. Yes, absolutely. And these are just few of the features that I'm showing it to you. It's extremely powerful. You'll realize that once we go deeper into it, maybe I think I also have a little bit of, I need to show you something about NLP as well. When I show you the features of NLP, you'll be surprised as to how powerful Python has been made. And people have worked really hard to make Python this powerful. And then you see all this, length of S, print of S1, the same thing that I did, right? It's being repeated here. You can just practice it. Membership checking D in Edureka true again, right? Look at this again. And you're not writing any code. You're just saying A in ABC. It's true. Now if I say false, right? It's so easy. Even your validation, right? The validation which you would otherwise write, a huge line of code. You need to parse this data here, A, B, C, D on each character wise, and then check for this value existence here. You don't do that at all. You just write D in, and then it does it for you. And then again, the not in Edureka, you have in, not in. Look at this. My name again. If you I'm sure all of you have studied C in your college days, right? If you have not, please let me know. The way you write printf statement in your C, it's very similar to that. My name is %s and %d here, which is %s, which is string, d decimal. Here you have 21, and Anna is assigned here. My name is Anna and age 21 years. String formatting operator. This operator is unique to strings and makes up for the pack of having functions from C printf family. So I told you, right, Python has been, all this syntaxes, etc., has been taken from C and Java, and they have built it. So it's pretty powerful. Actually, whichever feature used to take a lot of time in C and Java, they implemented here, and it's extremely easy in Python. That's why it's called the language for data scientists. Data scientists prefer to use this language because they do not have to think much. They just can implement it straight away. And there are some more functions here. If you say S, Edureka S dot capitalize, right? You have E here. E has been capitalized here. Count, again there is S dot count. So on and so forth. There are a lot of functions which are available here. You can just take this example as well and practice it once. Okay, and conversion from UTF encoding UTF to to others. You can encode UTF. There are other encoding functions as well that you can use. Okay, Raghavendra says, performance-wise, which one is better, C or Python? I think Python is written in C. Actually, Python, I'm not sure about that actually. I think it is written in C, but I will not be able to confirm to you at this point in time, Raghavendra. I think it is, but I don't know whether it's C or Java. I'm confused between those two. I'll have to see that. Okay. Performance-wise, obviously, because Python does a lot of things internally, Python will be not as efficient as C, but look at the power of Python. In C, you might end up writing 1,000 lines of code, and only a programmer will be able to write programs in C, whereas in Python, anyone can write programs, right? So all those data scientists and data analysts, they do not have patience to write thousands of lines of code, right? That's why this Python was invented. Okay, and then you have index of RE in Edureka, and then it gives you wherever it is, index, decode, encode, count. Just practice it once, you'll be able to understand it very clearly. These are simple, basic concepts. With an example here, just you can even take this example and then go through it once. Again, you have same functions like if you were to be in Oracle or SQL, right? You have min max function. You have the same here as well. Okay, but then if you look at this here, S is Edureka, print max of S is LMNOPQRSTU. U is the last one, right? Even in ST. UVWXY. So if you do a max of S, it gives you min is A. It starts with A. The alphabet starts with A. So you're getting A here. If you want to replace something, you can just do it. It's very simple. You have all functions. These are only a list that has been provided here. It's much more than that. You don't need to write any lines of code. Lots of lines of code in order to perform the simple statements here. Now indentation, right? This is very important. The rest, you can Google it, you can remember it, whatever, right? But indentation is extremely important. Okay, if you have to have if inside for, it better come 3 or 4 spaces after for, and if print is after if, then it better come here. If you type this print here instead of inside if here, then it will think that the print is for 4 and not for if. No, it's how many spaces required. It's up to you. If you see this, right? Let's say x equal to, okay, x print x, and if I say x dot length, length, no, it's some functions do provide, but let me see. No, it does not. If yeah, length actually work, Babu, length actually work. I'm just trying to see, whether x dot length works or not. So it depends upon the package. It's not that it's not possible. Is there a max limit of indentation? No, there is no max limit of indentation, Chris. But just to clarify your doubt, right? There are packages available using which you can do this. Okay, you'll just have to download those packages and use it, and then if it is a PyCharm or somewhere, and then you have downloaded your packages, you might be able to do exactly the way you are doing for Java, right? Or maybe for R. Okay, but in some cases, I mean, internally, whatever has been defined here in this case, there is no packages. There is no package in my terminal here, and hence, I'm only able to do so many things which has been defined. Ravindra, how to write a block of code in command line? Like if I want to write one program of all the module assignment without PyCharm, right? You can just call your program as just write your code and then save it as a text file. Call it using Python and then file name .py. Ravindra, is that clear? Is that what you wanted? Okay, fine. Okay, great. Okay, so indentation is a must in Python. Okay, there is you have to have a definite indentation. If you look at my code here, see this, everything is indentation. Now this and this are at its par, right? Parameter URL and request URL are almost one statement after another. But if you go here inside for, this created add is inside for, print is inside if is inside for, and everything is indentation. There is no open braces and closed braces. So that's what it's saying. Indentation is not, there is no basis to indicate blocks of code for class and function definition for flow control. Blocks of code are denoted by a line indentation, which is rigidly enforced. The number of spaces in the indentation is variable, but all statements within the block must be indented the same amount, right? So standard is used 4 white spaces. I mean, I use 3. I prefer using 3, but the standard is 4. Some editors automatically take care of the indentation. That's why you use PyCharm, right? You do not have to worry about indentation, etc. And indentation is very important. Otherwise, your program might fail also.